911. 3885 West 34th Street. I need an ambulance right now. I'm in shot. He's sitting on the porch. He's my neighbor. Brandy, go get a towel and put pressure on it.
Sam, did you see who did this?
It was an accident.
This is the panicked phone call that a 911 operator received on April 23rd, 2023, after gunshots were heard from a house belonging to a 28-year-old Carlos Perales. And as the police reached the scene, a disturbing scene unfolded.
I have my kids here and I can't breathe. What can I do?
Nothing.
I have my kids here and I need to go with them, please.
It is. Well, I mean, shooting in the chest, you're gonna have some blood.
Yeah, but it's crazy because it wasn't like gushing out on the thing, but there's definitely a lot of blood.
Oh, that's a ton inside.
Please God, he needs to be alive or I can't do it no more. Oh, it's me.
The hysterical woman who met the cops at the door happened to be 25-year-old Brandy Longcoy, who was Carlos' partner, living with him along with their children at their shared residence in Cleveland.
Where are the kids?
All right, well,
Upstairs.
Tell me exactly what happened.
I pulled in the driveway.
Okay.
I walked up the stairs. He had a gun. He said, "Why'd you get off work so late?" I said, "I got off work because there was too many tables. There was 250 people today. I work on the Nautical Queen.
Yeah.
And it was a overfilled cruise, and I was overwhelmed, and I got off a little late, and I think maybe he'd been drinking. I don't know. But he's usually upset when I get off work late. And he just started screaming, and he had the gun. I don't know if he knew it was loaded. And it went off. I have blood in my sweater.
So this happened upstairs? You were having this conversation?
It happened right there.
Brandy's emotions oscillated rapidly between frenzied panic and a state of self-possessed clarity when she was questioned, which might have been a consequence of the shock and grief she had been grappling with. But even so, her account of events were repeatedly inconsistent, and the investigators were quick to pick up on that.
The whole entire time.
I didn't see it at first when he had it. It was in his hip, and he.
Okay, but when you listen to yourself. When you just told us you came in and walked up, he was at the door already with the handgun in hand.
He had it in his hip.
And then you went and talked to him on the
I
stairs.
said, "Carlos, I got off work late because I was busy." And then that's when he pulled it out. He's like, "Why are you lying?" And then it went off. When he said, "Why are you lying?"
Where was it at when it went off? He has it in his hand.
It was like right on the stairway.
No, in his hand. Like
Because of the confusing and contradictory way Brandy Longcoy shared her version of what had happened, it led the cops to believe that there must be something she herself was frantically trying to cover up and overcompensate for.
Because he was saying that the neighbor heard her saying it was an accident.
Yeah, he's saying she... Oh, you're thinking she probably shot him?
I think she's on an accident. Thinking it wasn't loaded, she shot him. Because if you would see, if he did it right there, there would be burn marks at least really close.
And she's freaking out pretty good.
Yeah.
Same story every time?
Huh?
Same story every time, or what?
I mean, besides her saying that you heard her, right? That she says he already had it
So
in hand.
it's in the upstairs, like, hallway.
Okay.
Is where the gun was found, where the casing is.
That's where the casing's at.
That's where the casing's at, sitting in front of the doorway.
And she's saying that it was
She's
right
saying it was on the
here.
but she's saying it was on the stairway.
Okay. But remember, she's first saying that he was already holding it. Like when
Well, she said it was in there, and then he brought it out. And she says then he.
But
But
the first time she said that she was already holding it out like this when she came in, and then she said that later was that.
Well, I think I'm going to tell Sarge that, and like maybe not detain her, but at least sit her in the car.
This convinced the cops that they had enough reason to at least suspect her, if not outright disbelieve her story, wherein she made it seem like Carlos had shot himself accidentally, since that bit seemed to be the only consistent conclusion she was trying to hint at repeatedly, possibly in an attempt to set a narrative. Besides, the neighbors' accounts led the cops to believe that they had already been having a loud and seemingly serious verbal argument before the gunshots were heard, lending more credibility to the theory of Brandy being the perpetrator.
Do you want this neighbor's info? She just gave me her name.
For what? Just heard screaming?
And then
Did she witness anything?
No, but she witnessed so when they came home, like they came outside, they were arguing for a minute, one of them came outside, and then went back inside. The argument continued, and then as the argument
Yeah, you got that.
Oh, yeah, I am.
That contradicts what she said.
Additionally, the manner in which Brandy had demonstrated Carlos holding the gun made it seem unlikely to the police that the injury had been self-inflicted, and several other signs also pointed towards an alternate truth.
That one makes sense. The blood trail starts on the left side of the bed a little bit.
Well, they were freaking out, like walking around to afterwards.
Yeah.
So this is what all this is.
I don't know if this is self-inflicted or not, though.
I don't know with the going straight through like that.
Because she demonstrated he held a gun like this. How do you shoot like this if your gun is like this?
When will I know if he's okay?
They're gonna talk to you.
If he's dead, will I not know? Oh my god. He could be dead right now and you guys wouldn't tell me, right? You wouldn't be able to?
Make sure this is right. Go on.
Okay, come on.
After it became clear that Brandy was going to be detained and questioned, she began to lose her composure even further. Throughout the ordeal, she repeatedly expressed regret over ever having a firearm in the house, how it had now cost her the man she loved. She struggled to come to terms with the fact that she was not only facing legal consequences, but had also lost her boyfriend, which seemed to be something she found almost impossible to accept.
I should have never allowed it in my house. For protection, they say. More like to kill your fucking family.
I'll take your paycheck.
I didn't want a gun in my house. Because even if there was somebody that was going to harm me, they could take anything.
Yeah.
And I told him that, and I said that.
You can't blame yourself, though.
It's the neighborhood, he said we needed a gun.
You know what? I'll tell you what. You could have lived a suburb.
I know. We heard gunshots every other night.
Yeah.
And he said we needed a gun. And I said, no, we don't. If they come in, they could take the Switch, the TVs. They could take whatever they want. And he said, no, we need to have a gun. And now he shot himself with it. I can't even do this no more. I can't even do this no more. I need a That was the only one. Absolutely. I wouldn't allow guns in my house, and that was only because I knew that there was bad people around here. No, please. No. Oh, no. No.
When Brandy is informed about Carlos's demise in a definitive way, she breaks down completely, and it is evident that she is distressed by this news. But the investigators know that they have to be able to form a coherent and consistent timeline of events, and so the questioning begins.
What we were told was you were working the night and you came home. Where do you work at?
I'm still in my uniform. I came from the Nautica Queen.
Nautica Queen.
I didn't even get to take a shower after work. I've been at work since 8 a.m.
Since 8 a.m. And what time did you get home tonight?
Once again, Brandy walks the investigators through her day, and this time, some new details are revealed.
Okay. So you get home. What's going on?
So already when I was at work, he was saying, what's taking so long at work, you know?
Was he calling you or texting you?
Texting.
Texting?
Yeah. Saying, what's going on? I know you're up to something. You're just hanging out at work, having a good time. He's always been like this. I never took it serious. I just said, I'm at work. You know, you can call the Nautica.
So he's accusing you of stuff?
Yeah. And I said, you can call the Nautica Queen. They'll tell you the cruise times. They'll tell you that I'm on the boat. I'm stuck on the water. There's nothing I can do. And he was just upset. I guess it was a hard day with the kids and, the house and just everything. And when I walked in the door, he was standing at the top of the landing. And he had a mean face. And I came up and I went to take my apron off. I went in the room. And he let me walk past him. I went up to the room. He said, what took you so long at work? Why was you at work all day? And you didn't have no breaks in between? And he was just asking me questions like that. And honestly, I just had a long day, and I started screaming. I said, stop asking me questions. I just got off work. I said, I didn't even get in the shower yet, and you're already asking me.
Around this time, Brandy brings up the fact that her dispute with Carlos had begun long before she had even walked in the door at their residence, because apparently Carlos had been texting her while she was at work, and neither of the two were quite happy with their situation. So when Brandy got home, the dispute that had been weighing on the two all day, as it merely escalated, and that's when Carlos pulled out the weapon, as per Brandy's claims.
And he pulled out a gun, and I know the gun. I've seen the gun before. It's for protection for our household. We have rowdy neighbors in the street, and I know that this gun was for protection. He pulled it out, and he just was like, tell me the truth. Where was you at? And I said, I was at work. I said, you can call the Nautica, you can call my managers, whoever you'd like to get a clock out slip. I was explaining to him that he could check any option possible.
At this point, is he waving the gun at you?
He had it like in his hip, and he was just like that. Like, just tell me where you are, where you were.
So he's not pointing at you,
No,
he just
not
has
yet.
his hand on it.
Yeah, at the time.
Okay, is it in his waistband?
Yeah, it was like at his waist. Then he took it out, because I wasn't telling him no lies. I was telling him the truth. I said, I'm at work, there's nothing, nothing. He thought maybe it was guys I was hanging out with, I don't know. So he started screaming, and like I said, he took the gun out of his waist. He said, I'm gonna tell you one more time, tell me one more time. And I said, there was nothing going on. I was telling him there was nothing else. Nothing, no cheating. He always thought I was up to something when I was at work, or just anything I was doing, if I was going to the corner store.
Brandy also went on to reveal that Carlos had apparently always had issues with bringing himself to trust her and constantly suspected her of being up to something, highlighting the cracks in their relationship by speaking of Carlos's insecurities and seemingly abusive tendencies, since he appeared to be threatening Brandy by flashing the weapon.
And all of a sudden, I turned around. Honestly, I wanted to run out the door because I was scared. He had the gun, he was screaming, and I didn't think it was loaded, obviously. I wouldn't think he'd have it loaded with the kids in the house, of course, if he kept it under the mattress. So that's like a non-safe spot, to have a loaded gun. So once he pulled it out of there, I seen that he put it in his hip, and I'm like, okay, you don't have it loaded. So I'm yelling at him, screaming back, saying, stop arguing, I don't want to hear it no more. I went to walk out the house because he was getting violent and just loud. As soon as we opened the door, he went up the stairs to take a few steps to go up, and then he turned back around and he pulled the gun out again. And this time he had it out of his waist in his hand. He's like, what the fuck was you doing? And then all of a sudden I heard a big pop, and I was at this point walking out the door. I was gonna try to open the door and walk out, and that's when I heard the pop. And the door was already open once it popped. So I turned around and I seen that he had a hole right here. It looked like in his chest area. I didn't see the hole, but I seen blood. And he was holding it. And he said it was loaded. And I said, why would you have a loaded gun? And he just fell to the floor. I grabbed him. He got up. We ran to the porch. I said, neighbors heard the gunshot, obviously, because they were outside.
She also speaks about how exactly it was that Carlos ended up getting fatally wounded. But the investigators are not fully convinced and continue to question her, trying to get a clearer picture of the exact situation.
Yeah. Yes.
So you're at the front door.
Right.
That's the door you're
like the landing, the stairways.
Okay. So the front door, and then to the right is the steps, and then all the kids' shoes are right there.
Right.
So right there.
Like a few steps up. It was on the stairway.
So that's where he shot himself?
That's when I heard the bullet. I heard the sound of the gun. I wasn't facing his direction. I was like running, and I was just trying to get out the house.
You were on the steps.
Right.
Okay.
Where was he at?
At the top of the landing. Because I was going down, he was at the top.
Okay. So you didn't see him pull the trigger?
No, absolutely not. I didn't even think he pulled the trigger. I thought maybe it shook and just popped. Because he had it kind of like aggressively, like yelling and just, I thought maybe that's what happened, that it maybe just popped off. But he wouldn't have shot himself. I'm almost positive. So that doesn't make any sense. He wouldn't have shot himself.
Have you touched that gun before?
I have.
You have? When's the last time you touched the firearm?
Today, when he after he had it, it dropped to the floor. And I looked at it, I said, "It's loaded!" And I grabbed it because the kids were upstairs. And I didn't know if it was going to go off on the floor. I didn't know if he shook it and it went off. I didn't know if it was triggered by something. And I grabbed the gun, and I don't know if I grabbed him first. I think I grabbed him first. And I picked him up, and I said, "Let's call the ambulance." I was looking for my phone. I was in panic. I didn't see the phone. So we went outside on the front porch, like I said, and there was neighbors already outside. And that's when I told the neighbors, "Please call 911. And I had the gun, and he was right there. But I set the gun somewhere, I believe, because when I seen he was bleeding, I went to cover him up.
So you went upstairs and grabbed the gun?
Well, we were on the stairway, so like I said, he was at the top of the landing. When I heard the gun, I ran up. I didn't even know he had like bullets in it, like I said. So when I went up and the gun went off, I seen he was bleeding, and I said, "Oh my God, it was loaded!" And I like.
So where was the gun at then, when you picked it up?
I think at the top of the landing.
And then what'd you do with it?
I was honestly so worried about him that I don't even remember like what I did with the gun. I just remember like I was like, "Oh my God, it was loaded!" Like I didn't know if it was real or a dream. I just seen a hole in him, and like that's when I lost it. That's when I realized it was real, because the bullet, the sound, I didn't know for sure what was going on until I seen that he was bleeding, and then that's when I went into shock.
So when he was handling this gun, is he right-handed or left-handed?
Honestly, I think he used both hands, but I think he was more right-handed. With the gun, I think he had it in the right hand. I'm not even sure.
Is he right-handed or left-handed?
He's right-handed.
He's right-handed.
This is not real right now. I'm in a dream or something.
So you were walking down the steps when you heard the gunshot?
I was kind of like running.
Down the steps?
Yes, I was running out the house. I was trying to get to the front door.
Running out of the house. You hear the pop.
I thought it was at me for a second, and I kind of kept running, and then I realized I'm not hit. So I looked behind me, because it's in the house with the kids, and that's when he was like, "It was loaded," and he just said, "It was loaded," and that's all I heard. And I was like, why is the gun loaded in the house with the kids? I can't do this right now.
Now, is this the whole truth?
Yes.
And when Brandy confirms that she has indeed been telling them the whole truth, that is when the investigators bring up what they know, which makes her already inconsistent and half-baked account seem even more flimsy and difficult to believe.
We have some discrepancies with that. Okay. The doctor at the hospital said it wasn't self-inflicted, and that the angle of the bullet was in the center chest, but it exited the right lower back. GSR test done on you. On scene,
I know,
correct?
I know.
Okay. So is there a chance that you shot him? You have to be honest with this.
I know.
Okay.
I thought he was gonna shoot me.
Okay.
So I took it
Okay, so
out his hand.
Alright, so now we're gonna go with the whole truth this time, right?
Finally, the other shoe drops, and after being confronted with the details revealed upon closer and professional examination of Carlos's body, Brandy is left with no other choice but to confess that it was indeed not a self-inflicted wound that ended Carlos' life, and she, in fact, did have something to do with it. And so she agrees to tell the whole truth this time, yet again.
From this time forward, let's go with the whole truth, okay? Because you do have 3 little kids that are gonna need a mom, so we need the whole truth.
I don't care to be here. You guys can take me forever. But I'm gonna be honest.
Okay.
Because I don't want to be here. I'll probably die in prison. But the honest truth, yes. I came in from work. He thought I was out having a fun time, out with guys. I was at work. I came inside. It's not the first time he pulled the gun on me. And yeah, I took it.
I see you guys have a history. So
I didn't want to say it because he's dead, please.
I understand. Okay, so you come home, you're mad.
Please, no! Oh, no.
Once again, Brandy reiterates that they had been having issues for a while, and it was the constant suspicious and accusations against her, leveled by Carlos, that had been the bane of their domestic life. In addition to that, she also reveals that this was not even the first time that she had felt threatened by Carlos with the weapon that he had supposedly purchased to protect himself and his family. That is Brandy and their children.
Did you take it from under the mattress?
Absolutely not. He came at me with the gun. I would never, ever do that in the house with the kids. Ever. I would never even shoot the gun at him. He was coming at me with it, and I just remember.
Where is this happening at right now?
Upstairs.
In the room, in the hallway?
About in the hallway. I just took my apron off.
Okay.
I didn't even know where my phone was. He was yelling and screaming. I barely remember, honest to God, how it went. Because he was screaming, he was mad. I seen the gun. I kind of got just nervous because he took it out before. Okay. And he said, "It's loaded." And he set it down on the table. And he said...
Which table?
On the nightstand.
Nightstand?
There's a little nightstand in my room.
So if we're looking at your bed, the nightstand is on the left or the right?
The left. It's a littler stand. There's a dresser and then there's a little stand. And he set it there, and then he said, "Tell me again, who was you with?"
Brandy also maintains that it was not her who had initially brought out the gun, citing the children as the reason to refrain from issuing even the threat of violence while they were at home. She also mentions that she had been made aware by Carlos that the gun was loaded and had been set down on their dresser at one point, which were details that she had carefully excluded from her story earlier.
And that's when I turned around and I went to run down the stairs because I was scared. I thought, he's going to try to shoot me, I don't know. And once I went to run, he came with the gun and he's like, "Tell me one more time." And then he broke down like he was crying. He was like, I started crying.
Where is this set down?
In the stairway, like at the landing.
Okay, the landing.
And that's when I took the gun from him. And he said, "It's loaded." He told me again. He said, "It's loaded, Brandy." And he was running following me down the stairs. And he said, "It's loaded." And I said, "Stop chasing me." And he kept following me. And I didn't even realize that I was pressing the trigger that hard. And I obviously done it.
Okay, so where were you at? Where were you at when you were pressing on the trigger?
To be honest, this whole night is a blur. If I couldn't even tell you where I shot him. I don't know.
But you said you were running down the stairs.
I was running down the stairs and he was coming after me, so I don't know if it was right in front of the door or if it was at the landing, but he was coming at me and I turned around. I don't know how to shoot. I never shot a gun in my life. And I didn't even think that it was loaded. He kept telling me it was loaded, but he said that many times and it wasn't loaded just to scare me. So I'm thinking, okay, he's just saying this, and he was coming at me and I just...
So when he He put the gun on the nightstand and he told you it was loaded.
Yes, he did say it was loaded.
And then you said somebody...
But he said that many times and it was never loaded. That he, you know, tried to scare me and usually we didn't have bullets. We didn't even have bullets. It was really just, you know, for like a something to like scare somebody. I don't know if they're gonna break in our house or we never shot a gun.
She also went on to claim that she did not intentionally shoot him and tried to paint the picture of an unfortunate accident, and said that though Carlos had repeatedly told her that the gun was loaded, she did not fully buy it because she believed it had always been intended to be used more as a prop to scare intruders as opposed to actually hurting anyone. And so she maintained that she had indeed shot her partner, but accidentally.
So when he put it down and you grabbed it, where was he at?
When I went to try to grab it, when it was on the nightstand, and he pushed me out the way, and he said it was loaded, and then he started crying. Once he did the breakdown, that's when I grabbed the gun. Because he was in like, ah, and like he grabbed it off the nightstand, so it was in his hand when he was crying. And I grabbed it from him out of his hand, and I ran down the stairs, and that's when I ran down the stairs, he was following behind me. And that's when I turned around and I said, stop chasing me, stop. And he just kept coming at me, and I feel like the gun...
It is clear from Brandy's account of things that she and Carlos had a volatile relationship. With his constant insecurities, the abuse, and the subsequent breakdown she spoke of, and yet again, she is unable to provide a clear account of the night and their exact locations, trailing off in despair after one point.
I love him to death, but he's threatened me so many times and I just didn't know what to do. We've been together 10 years.
You've been with each other 10 years?
Yeah. Since kids, he's the father of my kids. I would never do this to him on purpose.
When did the gun enter the house? How long have you guys had the gun?
Say maybe 8 months.
8 months? So in that 8 months with that gun in the house, how many times has that gun been brought out with domestic violences?
Just once.
Just one other time, besides the night was one other time?
He's threatened, of course, to bring it out, but he's only brought it out once.
Does that count tonight? Or?
No, this was the second time.
So this will be the second time.
The other time he put it to my head and pinned my head to the stairs.
When she speaks again, Brandy speaks of a previous incident with the gun and Carlos, clearly indicating that they had a problematic history with the gun ever since it had been purchased.
I told my brothers.
Told your brothers?
Yeah.
Okay. And he put a gun to your head? How long ago was that?
Like 6 months ago.
6 months ago?
Maybe 5.
Had you told your brothers? How many brothers do you have?
8.
8 brothers?
But 4 of them are step, 4 of them are real. They're my real brothers. So 4 of the real brothers know. They talked to him about it.
They talked to him about it?
Mm-hmm.
Or they assaulted him about it?
No, they didn't say about it. They talked.
She also goes on to inform the investigators that she had informed her brothers about what had happened. So she was not the only one who knew what was going on in her home, and she would have some sort of external help if push came to shove.
How often do you guys get in domestic fights?
Honestly, it hasn't been often because my daughter's getting bigger and I just do what he says, just listen and do whatever I can so there's not a fight.
How often does it get physical?
It hasn't been physical in years, since the last case when I called the cops.
So it hasn't been physical in years?
Yeah.
But he put a gun to your head?
Well, of course, that was
reported?
the last one. No, I did not report it.
Okay. Did the children ever witness that?
No, they did not. So I had them at a sitter that night, and I think that's why he took advantage of that.
So the children, have they witnessed any of the violence?
Back in the day, when I called the cops, he held me hostage in the house. So that was one of the incidents that the kids was around.
Brandy also reveals that in the course of her relationship with Carlos, mistreatment and domestic disputes had been a regular part of their lives together, occasionally even in the presence of their children, and she had even reported his behavior to the cops before, though still choosing to stay with him.
Was the gun bought legally or was it bought off the streets?
Off the streets.
Streets. Did he buy it or did you buy it?
He bought it.
What's that?
He bought it.
He bought it. How much did you pay for it?
I'm not even sure. I never wanted a gun. He hid it from me for a few months.
Where do you normally keep it?
Underneath the mattress when I finally found out. But before I found out, I had no clue.
How far away do you think he was when you fired the shot from you?
He was very close. He was running closer and closer. I didn't want to do it. I waited till last minute.
So,
But you were on the bottom.
feet, how many feet would you say?
I'd say maybe 2 or 3 feet.
So we're talking like this close to you?
Do you think he was on like the second or third step then?
Yeah, or maybe even at the landing while I was running out the door. I was like trying to get out the door, and I turned around and there he was, and it just was like an instant thing. I didn't even try to aim it at him. Like, I just pulled the trigger, and it was just like instant. It hit him.
But you were still inside. You didn't make it outside yet.
Not yet.
Once again, Brandy maintains that it had been an accident in the heat of the moment, brought on by Carlos' repeated acts of aggression towards her. She also claimed that Carlos had tried to hide the fact that they even had an illegally possessed firearm in their home for a while, in spite of their history together.
So I'm gonna probably be in jail for the rest of my life, right?
That I don't know. We don't make them decisions at all. What we do is, when we're done interviewing you, we're gonna contact the prosecutor and explain him the circumstances, and then the prosecutor will advise us what to do. Okay, we have no judgment over that. Okay. I am gonna ask, for your consent for your DNA. That's just to compare it to the gun. The incident tonight, did your kids see any of it?
Absolutely not. They were in bed.
But
But as soon as it happened, I started screaming blood, and neighbors called 911, and then a few minutes later, my oldest came downstairs. She heard screaming, and she didn't get to see the. Of course, she seen him upstairs, but she didn't get to see him. I said, "Go upstairs." It's my fault. I should have just left.
As the duration of the questioning session wears on, Brandy becomes more and more visibly distressed, expressing regret and anguish over her actions, and strongly inclined to believe that she's going to jail for the rest of her life. Though she had repeatedly said that she had never meant for any of this to happen, and it had all been an unfortunate accident. The investigators make Brandy walk them through the events of the evening one final time. And yet again, Brandy reaffirms that it was all an accident, a tragic accident that was put into motion by their toxic and violent history together.
Well, I'm gonna be literally going down for murder.
well,
Well,
that's we're gonna ask you again on this, just to verify that we are documenting this right. Okay. So you came home, you're arguing, right?
he was mad the whole time I was at work all day.
So he's accusing you of things when you come home. You're in the bedroom, right? And he puts the gun on the nightstand and tells you it's loaded, right?
Yes.
Alright. And then
Then he
takes the gun off.
Mm-hmm.
And then you said he like cowered down like he was crying.
Yeah, it looked like he was just having a breakdown.
Crying breakdown, that's right.
Like he was gonna shoot me, but he didn't want to. It seemed like I feared that maybe that was what he was thinking.
Where is he actually like having his breakdown at?
Right by the bed, like at the foot of the bed.
Foot of the bed. Okay.
So then I ran down the stairs.
But you grabbed the gun from him.
So he couldn't try to do anything with it.
And then you ran down the stairs and he chased you, right? And then when he got within 2 to 3 feet of you, you shot him, right? On the stairs, right? That's your statement, right?
But then something shocking happens.
So we're gonna challenge that statement right now. The scientific evidence is not going to show that. The evidence that we collected on scene doesn't show that. Okay.
The investigators confront Brandy with evidence from the scene of the crime, which negates her story that, though inconsistent, she stuck to throughout, that it was all an accident. But the evidence is stacked against her.
So the bullet struck him in the chest, was at a downward, and exit on his back. That would be impossible from being on the stairs.
Well, I said he was coming down the stairs, so
Okay.
it was probably
So
at the
it would've
landing
been-
at the bottom once he got.
Because
Because I was running out the door, but it was still inside the house.
The bullet would have went up then through his chest. And
If he was
his
up
shoulder.
the stairs, right. He wasn't up top, he was running down, and I was going out the door, so by the time I turned around, he was probably at the bottom.
We know that's not even possible.
The spent shell casing is upstairs on the second floor.
The shell?
Yeah, so when you shoot a gun, it ejects to the right.
Shell casing.
So I shot him upstairs?
Yes. And
I
that's
think you shot him while he was sitting on the bed.
The investigators were no longer buying anything Brandy was telling them, because while she may have been a victim, she was also the prime suspect now.
He wasn't sitting. He was chasing me. He was coming after me.
There's in the bedroom, right? He was in the room when you shot him.
See, I just got off work and I had a few drinks and I was emotionally, just a mess when he was coming at me with all these things. So it could have been upstairs, but even then, I know he was chasing me. I had to, turn around and just pull the trigger.
And then you would have had to run upstairs to put the gun where it was located at.
I dropped it.
Okay.
And
The gun
ran.
was upstairs.
Right.
On the second story.
Then
not
that's
on
where,
stairs.
that's where it happened then. But I do know that it happened in 5 seconds. I ran down the stairs. He said, I seen the hole, and I seen that I did that, and I ran and yelled, someone call 911. I couldn't find my phone, and it happened so quickly that I really don't remember exactly where.
Brandy insisted that it was all an accident, maintaining her stance that she had not intended to actually hurt him and that it was all in the spur of the moment, trying to excuse her inconsistencies as lapses in memory due to the shocking nature of the whole evening.
It happened, but I do know that, he was coming at me, arguing, just violent, and I didn't want to even grab the gun. I was scared of the gun. But I knew that if I didn't grab it, then he was gonna do something. I could just tell by he was like, "Ah!" and fell to the bottom of the bed, on the floor, and started screaming like that and just breaking down, and I just ran. And I honestly thought that I grabbed the gun and ran down the stairs, but obviously if you're saying it was upstairs, that I shot upstairs and ran and dropped the gun, because I know I didn't carry the gun downstairs.
She also maintains that Carlos had been chasing her, and she was in a position where she felt like she feared for her life, which is why she ended up using the firearm.
Well, the gun was on the second story.
Upstairs.
Upstairs, a few feet away from the spent casing. So he was shot on the
So as soon as it happened, I dropped it. I didn't, you know, it was so quickly and it all happened so fastly. And like I said, I did have a few drinks tonight, and I got off work, and he was screaming, and it was just, it happened literally in, I'd say, 10 seconds. It was just so quickly that I just don't really barely remember. I remember running down the stairs as soon as it happened, and I yelled, somebody call 911. So I remember being on the front porch, I remember running down those stairs, and it just happened so quickly that it had to have been up at the top landing then, if anything. And I ran down the stairs to tell the neighbors to call the ambulance or the cops.
From the sudden shift in demeanor in Brandy, it was pretty evident that she was struggling to keep her story straight, and her insistence on setting a certain narrative that absolved her of all reasonable blame did not sit right with the investigators either.
You gave us very consistent, probably 3 or 4 times that you had the gun in your hand, you ran downstairs, and he came after you, and he was at probably the 2nd or 3rd step, and when you him.
The landing upper.
Well, it's the truth, it doesn't change. Okay.
I know, but like I said,
I know it's a, you know, extremely traumatic experience, but again, the truth doesn't change.
I understand.
So you have to look at it in the eyes of the people
that were not there. I understand.
Right? And they're gonna look at this and say, she changed her statement so many times. And it sounds like you're changing it more and more just to kind of cover up.
I was just scared at first, I know.
That we can't, we need to know the truth, okay? What's gonna hurt you is by continuing to lie.
I understand.
Or to be untruthful, to try to make it things look different.
And so it became clear to Brandy that her story had some holes that she couldn't cover up, and the investigators did not fully believe her inconsistent and faulty account. And in the end, Brandy Longcoy does not confess, but simply breaks down one final time. Her story, riddled with inconsistencies and contradictions, is the one she chooses to stick to. And while she does not manage to convince the investigators that she was totally innocent, neither does she give off the impression of a stone cold. In the end, what really remains is a murky and confusing mess of pain and misery in a downright problematic relationship with a deceased man at the center of it all. As Brandy Longcoy awaits trial, her story raises urgent questions about abuse and the deadly consequences of having guns in volatile homes. Because sometimes it only takes one moment of anger or panic and one loaded weapon to turn a toxic relationship into a tragedy.